everyone, good evening and welcome back to Thorough Newspaper Analysis. Today is 4th of May and this entire video series is brought to you by LawSikho. Now as far as the agenda for today is concerned, the same can be seen right here on your screens. The first is the editorial segment, and for today's discussion, the title of the article is The Crisis at Go First. Here we talk about the application that has been filed by Go First Airways before the NCLT, which is the National Company Law Tribunal, for the purpose of voluntary insolvency proceedings to be initiated against it. Secondly, we talk about the news updates segment where we cater to national and international news updates which are relevant for your exams. And thirdly, we talk about important legal developments of the day. So with this, let's dive into the TNA. The article is titled as The Crisis at Go First, and this is going to be our order of understanding of it. First, we talk about the events that have transpired so far. Then we talk about the factors that have led to the sudden insolvency. Thirdly, we talk about how much is the liability of Go First in terms of how much does it owe the operational creditors and the financial creditors. And fourthly, we talk about how will the creditors and the people be affected. So starting off with the events so far, Go First, the Wadia Group Airlines, it has moved the NCLT for voluntary insolvency proceedings. By virtue of this update, experts are now anticipating ripples in the highly competitive aviation sector. Go First, it is the first Indian carrier to file for insolvency proceedings since Jet Airways. Now, before we proceed, let's briefly have an understanding of how does the insolvency proceeding function in India. The relevant law for the same is your IBC, which is the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Act Code of 2016. In this particular code, insolvency proceedings, they can be initiated by three entities. So first would be your corporate debtor, second would be your financial creditor, and third would be your operational creditor. So what is a corporate debtor? See, essentially corporate debtor would mean any company which is defaulting on payment of any dues which were agreed to be paid by a certain time. An operational creditor would be, let's say, your Reliance, Wipro, or any entity which provides any goods or any services. The corporate debtor takes those goods or services. However, it defaults on making payment against those goods and services so taken. Thirdly, your financial creditor would be, let's say, a bank or any other financial institution which gives you a loan or lends you credit with a certain interest on it. So here, by using section 10, Go First, it moved NCLT by for the purpose of initiating the resolution proceedings against it. So see, now let's understand what are the factors that have led to this development. So Go First, it is stated that it was forced to file for insolvency due to the faulty and the failing engines that were supplied by Pratt and Whitney's International Aero Engines. P&W, it has refused to meet contractual obligations. This is the second allegation of Go First. And thirdly, it alleged that P&W, it refused to comply with the arbitral award which was given by the Singapore International Arbitration Center. By virtue of this arbitral award, P&W, it was asked to supply engines by a certain time framework. Failure of further engines made business for Go First unviable, and as a result of it, it has faced losses to the tune of 10,800 crore rupees as per Go First. Now let's understand what is the amount of or the extent of liability. So the airline company, it has stated that they owe rupees 6,521 crore to its creditors, and as far as financial creditors are concerned, Central Bank of India, Bank of Baroda, IDBI Bank, Axis Bank, and there are other banks as well. They have a consortium loan exposure of Indian rupees 1,300 crore. And as per reports that have been cited, their official liabilities to all the creditors, the operational as well as the financial creditors, it is to the tune of rupees 11,463 crore. Now let's understand what is going to be the impact on creditors and the people generally. So operational creditors, they shall suffer more. Why? Because under the IBC, preference is always given to the financial creditors. Whenever there is after the resolution process, this is going to be the preference. So financial creditors will be preferred. Their dues are going to be sorted first, and then comes the operational creditor. And lessors and financiers, they too may have extreme ramifications. And as far as people in general are concerned, we are going to, or we can anticipate hikes in the ticket fare, because there is this influx of demand, and the supply, it is going to be less. So because of the outage of Go First, so the other airlines, they are going to increase the ticket fare as a result of it. So, with this, let's dive into the next segment for today, which is the segment of national news. And now we proceed to the national news for today. The first update, it is with respect to BharatPe acquiring majority stake in Mumbai-based NBFC Trillion Loans. Trillion Loans, it provides secured and unsecured loans to small and medium enterprises. It also advances small business and working capital loans. The NBFC, it also offers auto, gold, and education loans to its consumers. Post this acquisition, Trillion Loans, it is going to operate as an independent entity. It is going to have its own team, and it is going to seek partnerships from other fintechs for the purpose of providing credit to businesses and to consumers. Moving on, the Indian cricket team, it now replaces Australia to become number one test cricket team. So ending Australia's 15-month reign as the number one test team in cricket, the India has now replaced Australia, and this development, it has come ahead of the World Test Championship final, which is scheduled in the month of June between the two sides. Moving on, the Niti Aayog, it has released a compendium for the year 2023. It highlights the best practices in social sector. So in order to commemorate the 75 years of India's independence, and to highlight and appreciate the efforts of the union ministries and the state governments, this compendium, it includes 75 case studies cutting across 14 social sectors. These case studies, they have been sourced from all states and union territories, as well as from 30 ministries and departments of the Government of India. The aim, of course, it is to synthesize lessons for the future to expand, enhance, and improve life at the grassroots level. Moving on, the center has now ended the archaic colonial era cantonments. 62 cantonments across the nation, they will cease to operate and be classified as military stations, while those housing the civilians, they are now going to fall under the jurisdiction of the local municipalities. There were 56 cantonments at the time of our independence, and six more were notified since then. The latest notification being that of Ajmer, it was done in the year 1962. As per data, the Ministry of Defense, it owns about 17.99 lakh acres of land, making it the largest landowner in the entire nation. Meera Syal, she is about to receive the BAFTA Fellowship in London. She is a renowned actor and writer of the Indian origin and is based out of UK. She is all set to receive the prestigious BAFTA awards. As far as BAFTA is concerned, it is the highest honor which is awarded by the British Academy of Film and Television Arts. As far as her famous works are concerned, it includes The Kumars at number 42 and Goodness Gracious Me. Moving on, the first ever test launch of new low-cost star sensor, it was successfully conducted. The Starberry Sense payload, which was developed by the Indian Institute of Astrophysics, this is a novel low-cost sensor designed for the purpose of quickly calculating as to where a particular satellite it is pointing at. It is being tested in the space for the very first time. The astronomers from the Space Payload Group at the Institute, they've announced that not only has the Starberry sense withstood the harsh conditions in the space, it is also functioning as per the expectations. Moving to the last update in the national segment. So the UGC, which is the University Grants Commission, it has now announced the launch of a portal which is called CU-Chayan. This is for the purpose of unifying the recruitment process at central universities. This portal, it is intended to ease the entire recruitment process, and it is going to act as a common platform for the purpose of listing out all the vacancies, the advertisements, and jobs across all central universities. This portal has made the entire recruitment process go virtual by now. And this has brought us to the international segment for today. Santiago Pena, he wins the Paraguay presidential elections. So Santiago Pena, he belongs to the ruling conservative Colorado party. He has won the presidential elections, beating a center-left challenger. The Colorado Party, it has dominated the political scene in the landlocked South American nation for more than 70 long years now. The selected candidate, he called for a nationwide unity and consensus among the nationals. And as far as the country's economy is concerned, it is expected to grow by more than 4% this year. However, the biggest challenges for the country remains poverty and corruption. Moving on, so the Japanese table tennis player and three-time Olympic medalist Kasumi Ishikawa, she has announced her retirement. After first representing Japan at the very age of 14, she quickly rose through the ranks, winning the All Japan Championship women's singles title at the very age of 17 in the year 2011. At the London Olympics, which were held in the year 2012, Ishikawa's first Olympics, she was integral to Japan winning a silver medal at the women's team event, which was the country's first Olympic medal in table tennis since the sport was promoted as the official Olympic sport at the Seoul Games in 1988. Moving on to the next update, this is with respect to World Press Freedom Day. 2023 year that marks the 30th anniversary of World Press Freedom. 3 decades have passed since it was proclaimed in the year 1993, in which we have seen substantial progress towards achieving a free press and freedom of expression around the world. The proliferation of independent media in many countries and the rise of digital technologies have enabled the free flow of information. However, media freedom, safety of journalists, and freedom of expression, they are increasingly under attack, which impacts the fulfillment of other human rights. Now, the last update in the international segment, it is the 30th edition of Arabian Travel Market. So the 30th edition of Arabian Travel Market, it commenced on 1st of May at Dubai World Trade Center with a significant presence from India. According to data from the Reserve Bank of India, Indian nationals they spend a record $10 billion on overseas travel during the first 9 months of the year 2022, an increase of nearly 43% compared to the pre-COVID figures. And this has brought us to the last segment for today, which is the segment of legal updates. The first update, it is coming from the Honorable Apex Court itself. So the Supreme Court has held that sentence can be suspended in appeal only if convict has fair chances of acquittal. In the order, the Supreme Court has held that in order to suspend the substantive order of sentence under Section 389 of the CRPC, there ought to be something apparent or gross on the face of the record, on the basis of which the court can arrive at a prima facie satisfaction with respect to the fact that the conviction it may not be sustained. The name of this particular case is Om Prakash Sahani versus Jay Shankar Chaudhary and another. The next update is also coming from the Honorable Apex Court and it pertains to the Companies Act of 2013. Section 140 subsection 5 of the Companies Act of 2013, it is constitutional. Resignation of auditor, it won't end proceedings under section 140 subsection 5. The Honorable Top Court has held. The Supreme Court has upheld the constitutional validity of Section 140 subsection 5 of the Companies Act, and the top court has held that the provision it is neither discriminatory, arbitrary, nor violative of Articles 14, 19, 1G of the Indian Constitution. The bench further held that the applications under Section 104 or 140 subsection 5 they were maintainable even in the event of resignation of the concerned auditors. The name of this particular case it is titled as Union of India versus Deloitte Haskins and Sells LLP. So with this, we've come to an end for the TNA for today. In case you want to get access to the free study material that LawSikho curates and also to the TNA slides, then I would encourage all of you to please join our Telegram channel. For the same, you may scan the barcode here or you may click on the description which is given in the video. Also, you may get in touch with LawSikho using these 2 point of contacts. The quiz, which is based out on yesterday's TNA, it is also made available in the description of this particular video. Thank you for being with us.